How's our timing looking?
This will be like an hour.
Hello and welcome. I'm Hui Jackson. I'm the Marketing and Ecosystem Lead of Accenture FinTech Innovation Lab. FinTech Innovation Lab is an annual 12 weeks accelerator programs for early to early growth stage FinTech companies. We provide them direct mentorships to the financial institutions partners, ecosystem partners, as well as our Accenture experts. It's our pleasure to support Hong Kong FinTech Week in this Masterclass series. Today, it's our pleasure to have two of our managing directors from Accenture joining us here today in this Masterclass. We have Malcolm and Shirley. Shirley, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. So hi, my name is Shirley, Managing Director with our Financial Services practice based out of Hong Kong. I lead up our insurance space across Greater China. So very happy to be here with Hui and Malcolm to speak about this topic.
I'm Malcolm. I'm a Managing Director in our Accenture technology practice. I'm responsible for digital transformation planning as well as technology strategy. So thank you, Jackson, for inviting us here today.
Thank you for being here with us. First of all, we are seeing a lot of fintechs through our programs. And recently, we were seeing a lot of them starting to build their technologies on the cloud. So what's the buzzes there? And Shirley, could you tell us what you see from your practice?
Well, I think we're living in pretty unprecedented times, with COVID impacting a lot of us at home and at work and so on and so forth. And that's led to quite a significant change in consumers' behaviors, right? More and more of us have started to realize and have started to practice since last year, the ability to work from home, the ability to, require digital servicing and enablement at your fingertips as a consumer. Customers are starting to realize the value for money. The appreciation for all of this has become much more important, right, in the world that we live in. And at the same time, we are seeing a lot of disruptions everywhere. Hong Kong last year launched the first spate of virtual banks and also virtual insurers. We are seeing the same thing happen in Singapore, in Malaysia, and other parts of ASEAN. And together with that, we're seeing the rise of much more growing and robust ecosystem of fintechs, right? With a whole range of innovation from your selling side of things to your claims, to the underwriting, to the servicing side. And that's where, we can talk about how this all brings it together to realize what our consumers are looking for in their day-to-day lives, right?
Thanks, Shirley. And Malcolm, I think being the digital strategy lead in Hong Kong, I would like to know that what is cloud? What is all the buzzword? Now, Accenture, as a background, Accenture has been 4 years. We are the number one cloud service provider by numerous top research reports. So tell us more about it.
Yeah, I mean, cloud, it's, I would say, kind of a very, you can say it's an old topic, right? We've been talking about cloud for, I don't know, more than 10 years. And you see that it's only until this 1-2 year, right? Cloud is, I would say, back to the prime time, right? If you look at before, right, there was the facial recognition, artificial intelligence, blockchain. And all of a sudden, this 1-2 year, people are talking about cloud, right? And I think we start seeing a shift where people are using cloud differently, right? Before was a very infrastructure-oriented things, right? Now it become a very business-oriented topic. And secondly, we are seeing a convergence of the cloud providers, right? Before, everyone put a label, right, I'm a cloud provider and all that. But over the past couple of years, the market had converged. And what we've seen is a rise of the so-called hyperscaler, right? These are just large players. These are hyper large players. We call it hyperscalers. In the world, right, in multinationals, we've seen 3 cloud providers, right? And number one is AWS, Amazon, from selling books to e-commerce. And now, right, a significant portion of the revenue, I think 30-40%, is come from cloud services. Azure, right, see this, they make the pivot as well. So Microsoft Azure is the second largest player. Google Cloud Platform, they say, okay, everyone is doing that, I need to get onto that. Yeah. So basically, these 3 cloud players globally are doing, and in China, we've seen Ali Cloud, right? They had the foresight, they're doing this 5 years ahead of most of the cloud providers in China, And now they are number 4 and going into the. So with the rotation to the business, with the maturity of the technology and the scale, right? You are seeing everyone is jumping on this cloud bandwagon. And with the COVID, right? World Economic Forum, they call this as a great reset, right? How can we do things differently? You know, basically, I think that whole COVID has accelerated this cloud adoption journey, right? As much as like 3-5 years. So things that may happen, say 3 years later, we are actually seeing last year and also this year. And that's why cloud have moved from a technical topic to a prime time topic in 2021.
Right. There's challenges. For the fintechs, they're quite easy. They're kind of very agile. They can very quickly to use the cloud. Yeah. But for the financial institutions, probably there might be some challenges.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that financial organizations, they have been around for 30, 50, 100 over years, right? The traditional ones. Yeah. And they, you know, they have their legacy stack that they've built 30, 40 years ago. And these are the beating heart of how they will do their business, right? And, you know, from a practical standpoint, therefore, the imperative to move to cloud is not an easy journey. We have to appreciate and recognize the challenges that it's not going to be a walk in the park. I would probably say another key part is also from a regulatory standpoint, right? That, you know, getting the regulatory approvals in place, making sure it's properly communicated, making sure that the security and all of that is aligned and well understood. That's also something that needs to be considered when organizations make that leap forward. And last but not least, you've got the regulatory approvals, you've got the tech, decoupling the architecture and all of that stuff. But don't forget, you've also got the people. The people have always been, you know, supporting what is, in a way, BAU, legacy stack and everything. But now they need to be able to understand how to operate on the cloud, right? They need to be trained. And these are the people, the process, the technology aspect, right? That needs to come together to make that journey happen. And again, as I said, to Malcolm's point, it is not an easy journey, but it is a journey worth striving towards.
Yes, that's a very good point. I like to. It's a journey worth to striving forward towards. And Malcolm being an expert and running a lot of cloud projects in Greater China, can you tell us how?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, first of all, it may sound a little bit funny here, right? So don't think about cloud as a technical topic, right? So cloud has been living in a wardrobe, in a data center for too many years, right? And suddenly this giant woken up, right, and transform itself. First of all, when we talk to a client about cloud transformation, okay, we are bringing two things together. We're equating two things. One is digital transformation is equal cloud. What does that mean? Everyone wants to do digital transformation. For the fintech one, I would say digital native, cloud native, they are fine, okay? They're fine, okay? They're born with the cloud. But for a lot of these 30, 40 legacy financial institutions, they need to transform, right? And they're all doing digital transformation. But what do they need? Well, they need computation power. They need data. They need amount of algorithms and all this stuff to process the data, to store data. They need connectivity to connect with IoT devices with their ecosystems. Can you imagine all this stuff happen without cloud? It's just not possible. So in the digital world, in digital era, cloud become the foundation, right? And it's not just that, right? With all this, what can you have? Well, you can have collaboration. Office 365, for example, you can have Zoom calls, right? You can have process automation, RPA, because everything is linked together. You can have all this like interactive, apps and all this, right? All the data stores in the cloud, right? Your kids are using, your phone, the Apple, iCloud every day. Yes. All this with the cloud, it becomes a catalyst. So how Accenture sees cloud is a foundation and also the catalyst for digital transformation.
Thanks, Malcolm. And Shirley, you've been talking to many CEOs, and tell us how your clients are doing in terms of embarking on this cloud journey.
That's a good question. I think, clients and organizations these days, they are really looking at, robustness and enriching their ecosystem. They're seeing a convergence across different, industries, not just within financial services and outside. And that's something non-financial services organizations are also thinking about, right? They're thinking about what can data bring? What's the power of data? What's the power of data and analytics? How can they personalize? How can they bring this to the customers to serve their needs, right? They're thinking about digitization, and I know I speak a bit broadly, but with COVID, how can you really bring the human and digital touch points to bear with the customers from a servicing, from a sales standpoint, such that when things, COVID situations happen, business still isn't disrupted. But and to that point, right, Malcolm, I'm really keen to hear your thoughts, because for an organization who wants to embark on that journey and they want to start on that cloud journey, what should they do? Because it's not something that they can straight away embark on.
Yeah. And that's a good question. And we're seeing kind of clients taking it a different approach. Right? We've seen the client have taken it in a very technical approach. So a client they are 3 years down the track, and they spend almost 99% of the effort doing cloud migration. So, try to move from the data center to the cloud. They spend a lot of effort, but could business feel anything? Maybe you can save some money, right? I mean, by doing that, you can probably save 20 to 30% infrastructure costs. I mean, that's true. But it actually doesn't really deliver the business impact, right? The data, you want to use your data, but where does the data come in? Do you do it after you migrate to the cloud, or you can do it right away? Our advice to a client is all of the above, right? So think of this as the 3 bubbles, okay? So one is a technology modernization bubble, okay? You got to move it to the cloud as fast as you can. You got to clean up your legacies and everything, right? There's no shortcut, heavy duty stuff. You got to get it done. But at the same time, you should start exploring how can you leverage data? How can you use the new technology to improve your operational efficiency, to drive better marketing? So it's all this data, and you can do this together with a cloud migration. You can do a lot of this data stuff in your own data center by connecting to your eco partners on the cloud, right? It's not mutually exclusive. And thirdly, if you still have ambition and effort, you should explore the new business model, right? For example, you are in a life insurance. Can you explore NPF and explore different types of services, right? Your bank, can you explore the more like advisory investment type services, a new business model in a virtual way, right? Because that doesn't really use your legacy applications, right? So these 3 bubbles, you should do all this at the same time that is aligned with your business strategy, your capability, and your cadence, right? But no matter what you do and which combination, which weighting, which sequence you do, there are actually 3 foundational capability you need to have, right? First one, you got to have a very clear cloud strategy and roadmap, right? You got to know where you are heading, so you can go fast, step by step towards that, okay? So that's the first one. The second one is around the talent, right? Just now Shirley talked about one of the, I would say, actions, right? It's like, imagine your people are operating this on your traditional data center, where a lot of the stuff is manual, right? Yeah. And those manual steps are replaced by automated tools. And that's how you can improve your operational efficiency. You can cut down the cost, because a lot of this become automated. It's taken care of. It's almost like you live in your bungalow, but now you live in a hotel. And lastly, right, you got to have the cloud foundation, right? Your multi-cloud service management, your green cloud. How can you do this in a sustainable, carbon neutral way, for example, right? All this is another foundation you need to have. So this is kind of the framework that we advise our client to think broadly.
It sounds really exciting indeed, actually. And Shirley, do you have any successful case studies to show us? Because from the sound of it, it sounds quite like a massive undergoing.
Yeah, it is. And I'll be very honest, right? I see in Hong Kong and maybe parts of Asia, the journey to cloud for financial services is still at the starting stage. One could probably say maybe the insurers are a little bit ahead compared to the banks, right? And again, it differs market by market and ecosystem by ecosystem. But to Malcolm's point, I think the organizations who have started that journey, they have gotten that alignment with the C-suite, right? This is something in order to grow, to scale, and to survive, right? Because if not, if you don't think about that part, what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, right? The virtual banks, the virtual insurers, they are small now. But the question is, what's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen when the Grabs, the Gojeks, the non-financial services, which are all on cloud anyway, they are going to make that journey, right? Because there's a lot of, from their perspective, they hold huge customer bases, right? And I won't say it's an easy pivot, but it's a pivot that they can also take because it's a natural inclination to expand on their ecosystem outreach, right? So organizations with that foresight have started to make that journey, and maybe Malcolm, you can share a bit more what's happening in China.
Yeah, and I do spend a lot of time in China, and it's quite interesting, right? I mean, I don't know how everyone feel, right? People may think that China is quite advanced. I mean, they have the highest adoption on digital and on mobile. 5G is everywhere. They have Alipay, and you don't see a lot of this in the rest of the world, or even in Hong Kong, right? Surprisingly, the cloud adoption in China is quite behind. Yeah, it's they almost like I would say 3 to 4 years, behind the Western countries. And I think a lot of this is because of the regulation, security. Government is kind of putting in more regulation around that. But nevertheless, right? So just nevertheless, they are pedaling really fast, and we see the hyperscalers like Ali, Tencent, Huawei, really pushing. And I can share an example, right? We're helping our client, and this is an insurer, building a cloud-native co-insurance system, right, for the top 5 P&C insurer in China. And this is going to be a one big bang cut over from their legacy mainframe to a fully cloud-native applications, co-insurance, from new business right through to claim policy servicing, right? They are doing this. So what I'm trying to say is, even though they are a little bit behind now, but are adopting it in a very fast and decisive way, right? And putting the best they have all in one go, right? And secondly, the government is also putting more regulations around data, and governing the hyperscaler, right? Make sure all this is done in a very regulatory controllable way, but also promoting innovation in the sense. And that's what we are seeing in China. So they are behind, but they are pedaling really fast to kind of catch on this. And they're waking up. They're waking up, yeah.
Yeah, and once they're waking up, they do things really quickly. Once they made the decision, like Shirley was saying, they're very decisive. They want to go there very fast.
No fluffing around, taking like months and months to decide. I mean, once it's decided, they just move, right? And I think in this day and age, right, if you snooze, you're going to end up losing stuff. Yeah.
Now, what's the key points that you want our audience to take home with after all this?
I would say if the organization has not had a serious think or thought about the journey to cloud, that should be the first thing that you have that discussion with your fellow C-suites, right? What is the business strategy, and how does that align, with your tech strategy, right? Iron that out and work that through, right? And then bring all of that together with the power of your data analytics and the 3 bubbles, the tech modernization, so on and so forth, with the right enablers at the bottom, right, to bring this to bear, right? Do that, otherwise, in the next 3 to 4 years, it's going to be a different discussion to be had, right? In terms of everyone else is on the cloud, and
Great. And Malcolm, what's your...
Yeah, and I will echo Shirley's point, right? And we talk about cloud first, but you may not feel where is the first, right? How first is the first of the first? Right? Think of this 15 years ago when we are still using our
landlines?
Yeah, no, we have the Nokia phones, right? And we talk about mobile first.
BlackBerry.
Yes. We talk about mobile first, right? Okay, mobile first. Okay, now, no ways. I prefer my PC, right? And Accenture, right? And we have Accenture Interactive. We really think, okay, it's mobile first. What does that mean, right? The profound impact, right? It's going to disrupt your business. Accenture believe the impact of cloud first is going to be more than mobile first, because this is really the foundation and the catalyst of any company's digital transformation.
At the tipping point.
We are at the tipping point. Yeah. You're right, Shirley.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us in this Masterclass Leapfrog Cloud Innovation Series by Accenture and FinTech Innovation Lab. If you are interested to find out more about this topic, you can log on to our Accenture website, search Cloud First and you will find out more. Thank you and goodbye.